Do you find yourself looking for more creative ways to add veggies to your meal plan, but you're not sure where to begin? Well, you have come to the right place because that's exactly what we are going to talk about in today's video. My name is Tiffany, and I am so excited you're here. I help busy millennials who feel overwhelmed in the kitchen learn new skills to create quick, healthy meals with wine pairings. Check out my link in the description below and follow me on social media for daily tips, tricks, recipes, and inspiration. And while you're there, be sure to click the link to grab your free copy of my weeknight recipe guide featuring 7 recipes that go from raw to ready in less than 30 minutes to help save you time, money, and energy in your kitchen so you have more time, money, and energy to spend life as you wish. In this video, we are going to discuss 5 smart swaps to help you add more veggies to your meal plan. But that's not all. I also have a super simple strategy to help you create the perfect beverage pairing experience to go along with these new recipes that you are going to be giving a try. So be sure to stick around until the end. Let's get started. So the first smart swap that you can do is to swap out traditional pasta for veggie noodles. Now, most people are familiar with zucchini noodles. That was one of the first. But did you know that there are so many other veggies out there that you can turn into homemade noodles? Some of my personal favorites are sweet potato, cucumber, and beets. But you can also turn carrots into noodles, and of course, spaghetti squash is a great alternative. Now, if you don't find yourself with the right tools of a veggie spiralizer or a julienne peeler, most local grocery stores, you are able to find pre-made veggie noodles. However, it's always better to make your own because then you are in control of those ingredients, and fresh means less preservatives. Now, when you're short on time, there are various pasta companies out there that have started to make their own veggie boosted pasta. But again, remember to check out that nutrition label and ingredients because there might be some hidden surprises. Every brand is different. Fresh is always better. Now, some fun ways to use these veggies. Zucchini noodles go very well with your tomato-based pastas. You can even just use simple crushed up tomatoes for a homemade pasta sauce. Delicious. Sweet potato is one of my go-tos when making a traditional faux recipe in my Dutch oven. Beet noodles and carrot noodles are a great option for a little bit of crunch into your lettuce salads. I have a honey mustard vinaigrette that I make often to pour over those roasted beet noodles. So delicious in the summer, especially when they're fresh from the garden. And cucumber noodles with that added moisture, since they are very packed in with water, make a great cold pasta salad to go along with those. You can add in some feta cheese, diced bell pepper, diced tomatoes, and Kalamata olives for a fun Greek pasta salad. For more ideas on how to use these veggie noodles, be sure to check out my website in the description below to search my recipe collection. Number 2 is to swap out traditional rice for veggie rice. Many people are familiar with cauliflower rice as this tends to be the most common go-to, especially with how bland the flavor is of the cauliflower. It's a great alternative that isn't going to mess with any other flavors because it typically just absorbs whatever flavors of foods you are serving on top of that cauliflower rice. One of my go-tos with cauliflower is to turn it into a fried rice and add in some diced ham, diced pineapple, and a traditional Asian dressing. It is a delicious, healthy alternative to your classic Asian fried rice. Now, another common veggie to turn into veggie rice is sweet potatoes. Now, sweet potatoes are delicious on their own, and they also rice up really well right along with regular potatoes. The nice thing with sweet potatoes is they're a little bit more versatile and less starch than your traditional potatoes. So a fun way to make sweet potato rice is with a little bit of Mexican twist and Mexican seasoning. And you have got that for a delicious side twist for your next Meatless Monday, Mexican Monday, or Taco Tuesday. Now, broccoli is another one that is fairly easy to rice, just like the cauliflower. Of course, it's going to give your food a nice green tinge, but it is an excellent alternative to your traditional rice. It's also going to be more bland on the flavor profile, making a great option to, again, just like the cauliflower, absorb the flavors of whatever foods and sauces you are serving on top of that broccoli rice. Now, before we dive into the next one, I want to hear from you. While you're cooking at home, what is your biggest struggle? Drop it in the comments below. I look forward to reading these and learning how I can best support you in saving time, money, and energy in your kitchen, and how we can grow and learn together. Tip number 3 is to swap out some of your protein by substituting beans. This can be canned beans or dried beans that you make. In fact, dried beans are actually cheaper and healthier because they have less preservatives, less sodium than in the canned option. And with that bag of dried beans, it saves you money because you usually end up with 2 to 3 times the amount in that bag as you would in a can. And it can come together as freshly made beans in as little as a half hour in a pressure cooker. And they taste so much better. But when you're swapping in beans, this is a great option to not only boost the veggie content, but also boost protein and fiber in your recipe. So typically, black beans and pinto beans are going to be your best options for your Mexican dishes. One of my go-tos, which again you can find on my website, is black bean vegetarian enchiladas. Delicious twist, again, for Mexican Monday or Taco Tuesday. When it comes to curry, chickpeas or garbanzo beans are an excellent option. Again, this is going to boost protein and boost fiber, but you can also turn it into a meatless meal completely by just relying on those beans. Chickpeas are amazing in curry, and you can do this on the stove or in a slow cooker. And then we have the cannellini beans and kidney beans, which are great options for your stews, soups, and chilies. I love them both in a Southwest chili that we make often, but these are also great for your classic cowboy beans and other chili dishes. Now, another way to swap out with that protein while still getting the protein and boosting the fiber is to use a ground meat alternative. Now, these had a little bit of a bad rep in the beginning, but they have come a long way. And this is something that I use in my kitchen quite often. Typically, your ground meat alternatives are going to be made from a pea protein. Again, be sure to check the label to double check everything, especially if you have any food allergies or dietary restrictions. But with pea protein, you get that high protein and the high fiber content from the peas themselves. And most of these ground meat alternatives are going to brown up just like your classic ground beef, ground turkey, ground chicken, and the flavor is very similar. Again, ground meat has come a long way and is an excellent alternative to add in more of that veggie content to boost the nutrition for your entire family. You can take this ground meat and easily substitute it in any recipe. Some of our go-tos are burgers and taco meat, spaghetti meat. There are so many possibilities when it comes to that ground meat alternative. Now, before we jump into the last one, I want to remind you to hit the subscribe button because I'm dropping videos like this every week, and I would hate for you to miss out on the next tip or trick shared right here inside my tasting room. So the last tip to boost that veggie content and make those smart swaps this season is to turn traditional pizza crust into a homemade veggie crust. This is so much fun for the entire family, especially for your next pizza night. Now, the most common veggie to turn into a pizza crust, which you can even get at various pizza restaurants now all across the country, is cauliflower. So we had discussed previously how well cauliflower turns into a rice. Because of that, it also makes an excellent pizza crust. And it is going to be your thin, crispy, cracker-like crust. So if that is up your alley, definitely give cauliflower crust a try. You can also rice your sweet potatoes and turn that into a pizza crust, which in my opinion is the perfect pairing to go along with barbecue chicken pizza. You can also do this with broccoli, just like with the cauliflower. Again, it's going to be green, but after you lay on your tomato sauce and top with your fresh meat and veggies, you're not going to notice. You're only going to taste that delicious pizza and you will be happy. Now you can also do zucchini and spaghetti squash as a pizza crust. Because of the added moisture, these are best baked in the oven before you add any of your toppings. But one of my go-tos is using the spaghetti squash as mini pizzas in my large muffin pan. So you make a little bit of a well so almost like a bowl, into that large muffin pan. Bake the spaghetti noodles with a little bit of garlic and onion seasonings. You could also add in some Italian herbs. And once it starts to crisp up, then add in your sauce and your toppings. Same with the zucchini. There's also a zucchini pizza crust casserole that we make often to get that craving satisfied for pizza while still enjoying the veggies and a low carb option. So let's keep this momentum going by creating the perfect wine pairing experience to go along with these new recipes that you're going to be giving a try. Tip number 1, as a general rule, red with red and white with white. So typically, your red meats, your red tomato-based sauces are going to go best with a red wine, whereas your white meats and your white garlic cheese-based sauces are going to go well with a white wine. That's not always the case, and that leads us to tip number 2, which is to consider your sides and seasonings. When it comes to wine pairing, you want to look at the meal as a whole, not just the main course, not just a side dish, not just a dessert, but look for common flavors and colors within that meal to pick out the perfect wine. So if you have lots of garlic and herb flavors, a white wine is going to be your best option. If you have lots of savory, black pepper, and spicy notes, a red wine is probably going to be the better option. But again, you also want to look at the sweetness and the spicy level, which leads us to tip number 3, sweet likes heat. When you find yourself enjoying spicy cuisine such as Mexican, Indian, curry, and Asian dishes, a sweet wine is going to be your best option because it is going to cut back on some of that spiciness, especially in terms of spicy peppers. And it's going to make the dish, one, more bearable to eat, but also it's going to change the flavors. Because it cuts back on the spice, you'll start to notice other flavors within that dish that maybe you had never tried before. And if you're ready to keep that up and become the wine pairing guru in your social circle, be sure to click the link in the description below to download your copy of my free basic food and wine pairing guide featuring tips and tricks to help you become a wine pairing master right away today.